Okay, so let's begin our next chapter, that is about software testing. This chapter is not the complete discussion, however, so on complete discussion on software testing. This is just an introduction, gives you the major umbrella, major topics under the umbrella of software testing. The details are not the part of this chapter, but inshallah after that you will understand in detail what is software testing, what are the different activities in software testing, when to do it, who does software testing, and how to do software testing. Inshallah, those topics will be covered inshallah in this chapter. Let's begin. So now you will realize, inshallah, after a few slides, you will start realizing that it is very important that you test the actual behavior. You made a software, okay? So let me call it a machine. Actually, it is not machine because there is no hardware, but it is a software machine. Your software is a software machine, just like engineers. They make hardware machines. You made a software machine. Okay, of course, we have to test it under different conditions, like somebody makes an air conditioner. How do we test it? We turn it on, then we change its temperature gauge, we change its fan speeds, we test it under in summer, we test it under in winter, and we see how its performance is under different conditions after different timings. That is how you will be doing the testing for your software machine. Okay, let's begin. This is our overall methodology cycle, and your software testing, it happens in some part of software testing, not the complete. Some part of software testing happens in all the stages which are highlighted in green. Yani, some of the testing we already do in requirement analysis, or requirement analysis is part of software testing. You will see inshallah in this chapter. Then when we are designing our architecture design, we do some testing, or this architecture design is used in testing. Okay, both ways are true, so at least one of the ways you should consider. So other accommodating requirements and changes, yeah, this is very important point. Maybe is there any slide, maybe this point, yeah, it's not highlighted. Let me make one slide for it. Okay, I should let me just note it down because I think this point is not there. Testing must be done after every phase of changes. Yeah, usually software engineers or the developers, they do not take so much care in testing. They test. I don't say that they don't test. They test, but they do testing at a very preliminary level, just very small tests, and they think it's enough. That is not true. Inshallah, in this chapter, you will see how deep do we go to do all the tests. Just like you can consider it that one patient goes to the hospital, then doctor prescribes him or her some tests, and depending upon the type of the disease, they go in depth of the tests. So they start tests. If they find something abnormal, they do further tests, and then further tests. So they are examining all the behaviors regarding to that disease. Similar is the case here. At each phase, these green boxes, whenever you are there, these green boxes, you should try to do some testing, or these green boxes will be used in testing. We are going to see details inshallah in our coming slides. What is software testing? It is basically a dynamic validation of your software, validation activity to find the defects and undesirable behavior of the software. First, there are several key words here. First keyword is dynamic testing. actually you can do some of the static tests as well. What you were saying, that we check whether all the functional and non-functional requirements are met. If you do it before the execution of your software, that is called static test. Yani you are not running the software, you just checking the list, that have you made the software components for all of them. If the list matches, it means you have made all the software components. But that is static testing. Okay, this chapter covers all the aspects, inshallah, all the major aspects of dynamic validation. Yani you run the software, just like you look here, that you have you know how to drive, you were taught how to drive, now you will give a driving test. In your driving test, either you sit in the car and drive the car on the road, or you do it through a simulator. That is your dynamic validation. You are running in a simulator, again you are working like you are running a car, and they test you, your driving abilities in the simulator, or normally in the driving school they test it practically on a real car. That is dynamic validation. Similarly, you run your software and you see how it is behaving. Question: what are the objectives of testing? This is very, very important. Let me highlight the objective of, yes, this is that's why I made it red. Let me write a question here. What is software testing? What are the objectives of software testing? This is very important. Why do we do testing? We want to find out all the defects. We are not doing the testing to say, okay, our software is good. No, we are not. This is not our objective. We don't want to say at the end that our software is good. The objective of the test is that you make the testing, you do the testing to find out if there is some hidden defect that is hidden to your eyes, that you do not know, that you couldn't figure it out, that you didn't plan for. To find all those defects and to find undesirable behavior. Sometimes software behaves in a different way. Why? Because if your software is bigger, it has different subsystems, it has different components, and those components were developed by different software developers. Okay, different software developers, they use their different methodologies. Of course, their style of coding is different, their style of thought is different, but of course everything goes under plan. They write the code under plan. But again, as I said, when you are integrating different components together, which are made by different software designers, software coders, or developers, then when you are integrating them together, sometimes the work is not as perfect as it should be. Similarly here, we want to find out all the defects if there are any. So we will test it in all the ways. Like if you want to test a car, how do you test a car? You test all the components of the car to find out if there are any defects. You should know that. Just consider that you are buying an old car. Okay, so before you buy it, you test it. You test it under all different conditions. You take a round, you test it in a circle, you test its engine, you test its AC, you test its the smoke emission, you test its meters, you test its tires, you test its body, you test its color, etc., etc. Everything you test. You test it also if this is accidental or not. Like that. What is the objective of your testing? Testing a car. Your objective is if there is any defect in the car, you can find it out. The same scenario matches here. The testing of the software, you are testing to find if there is any defect or undesirable behavior. You should be able to find it. That is the objective of your software testing, like you are doing your car testing. So test it through all the ways, all the means to find out if there is any defect. Okay, and this is one objective. And second, how do we find out what is defect and what is undesirable behavior? Something which does not matches our requirements, something which does not matches our given constraints, that is called undesirable behavior, and that is also called a defect. Yeah, let me write here the question once again. What are software defects? What is undesired behavior of the software? So answer is something that does not satisfies the requirements or the given constraints is called your software defects, or it is also called undesired behavior of your software. All right. Wow, good. Very repetitive word that is used in almost all this chapter. This word will be spoken again and again. This is the terminology. So that's why it comes right at the start of this chapter, that is software test case. What do we mean by software test case? So I will say that you will do your testing, you will design different test cases for your software testing. So what is a test case? You design different test cases. Actually, it is a test case, it is a set of conditions or variables, yani input values, under which the tester, the software tester, he or she will determine whether the system satisfies the requirements, given requirements, or it works correctly. So it is set of conditions. You make different set of conditions or input values or input environments, and then you in those set of conditions, those environments, those input values, you run your software and you check if it behaves fine, if it gives you output correctly, if it matches it satisfies the requirements, that set of conditions, that set of environments, that is called a test case. So in another way, a test case is a set of specifications of inputs, execution conditions, testing procedures, as well as the expected results. You know, if we give this input value, our output should be this. So again, test case includes your inputs and it also includes the expected output. Of course, the output will be given by the software, but you know that if I give 2 plus 2, the answer should be 4. So my test case, if I'm going to check a calculator, my test case, I will make several test cases. First test case is to check addition. 2 plus 2, I will check 2 plus 2, what is the answer? Then I will, for the small digits, I will check it for the longer numbers. Let's say 275 minus 186. This is test case for subtraction. Similarly, test case for multiplication, for division, and for other operations as well. Then I will do multiple operations within one test case. For example, 2 plus 2 multiplied by 2. Does our calculator understand the precedence of the operator? This is another test case. So I'm giving different inputs, I'm giving different execution conditions, different environments, and I know what are the expected results. For each test case, if the output matches my expected results, expected requirements, it satisfies my requirements, then I say this test case is passed. If the output or the behavior of the software is not as per our expected output, then we say the test case fails. If a test we are able to find some bug, our test case is good. We are not looking for pass or failure of the test cases. We are looking for the test cases that can identify the bugs in the software. Okay, if our test case is able to find a bug, that is a good test case. You see here, if our test case is able to find a bug, this is a good test case.